in the perfect world, studios would have a database where people could use
Right.
that's the trait, like a vault. That's what it's like. You know, like Marvel have a vault somewhere
Yeah.
on their database of all these characters in every angle.
Yes.
You know, because when they're doing it, they'll do photo shoots. You know,
Right, they do.
of Benedict Cumberbatch in 20 the same stance with 20 different angles, and they'll all be perfect and extremely good quality.
Right.
But they don't release that, so yeah, it's that would be that's. But yeah, it's just finding what works, and then it adapts, it changes.
Welcome to Your Local Cineplex.
DIIIVOY.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. If you don't mind, kind of just introducing yourself to the audience in case they're not familiar with your work, and kind of just a brief rundown. Are you from Earth?
Yeah, yes, I am. Yeah, so I'm DIIIVOY. Chris, I'm from Scotland. I started doing graphic design when I was in just after high school. I went to college. Always loved graphic design. Went and did graphic and digital design course at college in Edinburgh, and then after I graduated, I left it all behind and went to do a proper 9-to-5 job. It was a family business, so it was one of those things that you kind of just fall into.
Right.
So I've been doing that for the last over 15 years. Still doing that now, and then started dabbling back into the world of design. I'd say maybe 2 years ago. Picked it back up. I'd done some stuff from a job here and there, but not much. Just logo needs done, or flyers need done, something like that. So it was wee things. So it was my whole life was just nothing to do with art at all. So and then I kind of fell back into it, and it's from there I've just kind of treated it first as a hobby, and then after I started doing it, people were saying, "Oh, this is good, liking this," and then thought, well, I'll start doing it a wee bit on the sides, and it's been good. I've say in the last 6 months I've started doing commission work and doing some actual proper movie posters for actual movie films. It's quite surreal that there are some people out there that like what I do enough to trust me to do something for their movie or their show or whatever it is that they're doing.
I find it fascinating of everyone I'm talking to, because I don't know why I assumed of poster artists they would come straight from the fine art background and get into poster art, and so it's surprising for me to hear that so many have the design background. They started with design. I'm the same way. And I spent a good while doing graphic design, and I still do it. It's I really would like someday for it to be 100% poster design, but
yeah,
I'm open. I still do graphic design, logo design type stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, what is poster design except
right,
putting things in the right order to make them look nice.
Right.
So following a pattern that's been done for how many 30-40 years of posters, and taking inspiration from that. And there's so many things that kind of cross between different parts of graphic design. I mean, you do even just like film titles is basically just a logo for a property. So somebody who's got really proficient in logo design could easily get into poster design, because how many great posters have you seen that are just the title for the movie?
I love it when I see posters, really, and I kind of feel like your work kind of does that.
Well, because I'm not a great artist, I feel very envious of people that can just go and paint. They can go, well, I want it to look like this, so I'm going to paint it, whether it's digitally or physically. Some people do, and I'm jealous of that. I can't do that. I have to use what's already available, whether it's stills or visual art, things like that, or if it's for a client, photo shoots that they've provided to me. So yeah, that's something I'd love to really focus on, but it's time. It's to really practice and hone that. It does take a long time to do. Finding that time's the tricky part, especially when your families and things like that, and jobs.
I want my stuff to not look like photographs, or like I'd like it to work. If someone saw my piece, saw my work, they could not guess where I got that.
Yeah.
And
I think I'm in the same. For the last 6 months or so, I've been really trying to do that and make it, more artistic, and make it look like it's not just a still from a movie, and make it a bit more. But that's just come from experimentation, trying different things. There's so many programs and things that you can do. There's if you can't draw it on an iPad, you can get some results by Photoshop or whatever program you're using to. And it's just about experimenting. There's so many times I'm doing things now that I'm only doing because I was practicing, and then something clicked and I thought, oh, that worked out nice, that worked out really well, I'm going to keep doing that. Or and then after you do it 10 times or so, you're like, oh well, this is getting easier, this is fine. Let me try pushing it. How far can I do this? And then I'd say that's one of the main things I try and do, is try and really dial in on certain things that I'm doing. If I feel I'm using a particular style, like I was saying, I'll keep going on, keep doing it, and just try and do it a wee bit faster, or try and do it just a wee bit more precise. And then after like the 10-20th time I've done it, it comes more natural and quicker.
Yeah, that's definitely been my experience. Like my work last year, a lot of it was taking photographs, trying to find obscure ones that are not the most common used ones.
Yep.
Actually, kind of like the Mandalorian poster behind me would be an example of that I did. Trying to take the techniques I knew of traditional painting, and then taking what I knew what Photoshop was capable of, as well as experimentation of using like the adjustment layers for like levels, and just playing with the lights and darks there, and having that mimic paint strokes. Like it's amazing what you can do. So you can take a photograph that has a certain lighting, and if you know how to use those and use like clippy masks and all that, you can like literally almost like repaint it and give it a own lighting. And so I definitely see that work. And so I'm like, okay, I see. He's tapped into that too. What's kind of like your process? I know you spoke to it a bit, but anything like more specific that you're kind of proud of, or you find fascinating?
Something that I mean, for a process of a poster, I would say it all starts with just having an initial idea. Sometimes it can just, come at any time you're doing the dishes, or you're whatever, and then you go, that would be a good idea for a poster. Whether you remember it or you write it down, and then it's a case of thinking, okay, well, how would I get that? Techniques would I use to do that? So I'd sketch it out and get the initial idea formed, and then I usually just jump right in. I just start with a blank canvas and start going, okay, what images do I need? If I've got something particular in mind of, say, a character just in a certain pose, I'll go, right, that's the main thing, let's start with that, let's get that down, get it all cleaned up, get it ready, and then start adding all the extra pieces in, whether it's the type, or whether it's background or lighting. I think lighting is one aspect I try and do the most. I really enjoy, kind of like you were saying, changing an image from what it was to something new by doing the lighting. And a lot of the times I like to crank it up to 11 and make it quite dynamic. And so working with bright colours and a lot of lighting. I love my neon. I like the impact that you can get, especially when you've got something that's backlit, and you can really make, if it's a characters, make them stand out, and then how you have them interacting with the rest of the scene. So yeah, I'd say lighting is one of the things I try and practice a lot more. I still feel like I've got a long way to go, because you do one technique and you go, okay, I like this, let's try something else, let's go on YouTube and see how other people do it. Because there's the one thing I'll say about Photoshop or whatever it is, or Infinity Photo, whatever you're using, there's always like 10 different ways to do one thing. So it's you find the one that works for you, and then keep honing on that, and eventually you'll get really, really good and quick at it. Doing a different technique is always good because they can work together in different ways. So yeah, lighting's definitely one of the things I like to do the most.
So I'm curious of your process of like, so you say like you have an idea, right? So after once you have the idea, so I struggle with this myself. Obviously, we have to go to the internet and Google search what stills are out there for available, and so you go and you search, and you does like the idea kind of have to change as you kind of see what's out there. Of course.
Yeah. Because in the perfect world, studios would have a database where people could use.
Right.
That's the trait, like a vault. That's what it's like. Like Marvel have a vault somewhere on their database of all these characters in every angle.
Yes.
Because when they're doing it, they'll have to do photo shoots.
Right, they do.
Of Benedict Cumberbatch in the same stance with 20 different angles, and they'll all be perfect and extremely good quality.
Right.
But they don't release that, so yeah, it's But yeah, it's just finding what works, and then it adapts, it changes. It's not perfect and you can't Photoshop it to be perfect the way you want it, then you have to adapt and go, okay, let me try and, do I need to do it slightly different angle? Do I need to have more than one character now because it's going to be off balance? Or
right.
So yeah, it definitely adapts depending on what's out there.
Do you like sometimes go, okay, I want to do this poster, and you really don't have an idea in mind, and you just go straight into Google Images and kind of see what's out there?
Yeah.
See,
I
you kind of piece it together.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah. So for example, if it was say a Spider-Man movie, and you would just go in and you go, okay, well, what's available? What have the studio released so far? And then it's just scrolling through and going, oh well, that's good. That's not useful for this, but I'll save it and I'll come back to it another time, which I've done before. There's times where I've started a project and I've gone, well, let's. I don't have an idea in mind. I just start throwing up some images and seeing what works, and then something develops from that. If I'm not feeling it at the time, I just save it, shelve it, come back to it later. That's something I did for my Black Widow poster that I did not too long ago. I'd started that I don't know when the movie came out, and I only just finished it not that long ago, because I just went, oh well, I've got these images, I'll play around with them and see what happens, and then I was like, I'm not really feeling it, closed it. Then I went, and then when I was one day I was just looking through stuff, and I came across it. I'm like, oh well, just open it back up and then see if anything new springs to mind. And I thought, well, yeah, and then it's just a process. It's sometimes you can have an idea exactly what you want it to do, what you want it to become, and then sometimes you don't, and you just have to kind of wing it. And yeah, that's one aspect that I'm very jealous of. The artists that have an idea and they go, well, I can't find it. I'm just gonna draw it and paint it and make it become reality. That's something I'd love to do. That's one thing I want to try and focus on in the next however long it is, 5 years, 10 years. Get to the point where I can just do that. Yeah, most of the stuff that I'm doing is just practice, and a lot of what I do, because the reason I got back into art in the first place was I had, back when I was a young man, I had a massive DVD collection and Blu-ray collection. So and then I went to digital, and I ripped all my movies and I put them on Plex, and then I fell into the wormhole of posters for Plex. So making it exactly how I want it to be. So I mean, when I first started, I was just using posters that I found, if it was official posters or posters that other people had made, and then there was a ton, I can't remember, I think it was Despicable Me. I was because I've got 2 kids, so I've got a lot of kids movies, so I couldn't find a poster that I liked, and then I was like, oh well, I've not done this for a while, I'll just see if I can make something for myself. And then from there, that was a couple of years ago now, and that just started making posters for Plex, and then I found things like on Reddit there's Plex posters, and then there's the poster database where a lot of people put their posters up that they've made themselves. And yeah, I just kind of fell into a wormhole of making posters.
I saw that. I'm not familiar with Plex or the poster database, so that was a neat little treasure trove that I came across. So is Plex like what is Plex?
Plex is like it's just like a program that you can run it on your computer, and it's so I've got a hard drive of all my movies that I ripped, and then Plex basically means you can play them on multiple devices, so on the TV and things like that. So you can just go on, and so it's like a DVD collection but digital. Wow,
that's cool. That's
yeah.
very cool.
But the poster side of it that's what kind of got me. I was like, oh, this is cool, So yeah, I started doing that, and I think I'm up to 1,000 posters now that I've made that I've got on poster databases, out like a website for that people use for that. It went well. People liked what I was making, and people were, wanting more, so I started making more. And then you get into a rhythm of, you make like different sets and collections of things. So I made like my Marvel ones, like the ones with the neon.
Right.
So I made them, and people really liked them. So yeah, and then eventually I started. Well, I'll see if anyone wants me to make any posters for them. So and then I kind of put myself out there that way. But
I love the idea. I really love the idea that there's a community of movie lovers who literally ask someone like you to design a poster. It's like, screw the official poster for the movie. I want yours. That's cool. I could have experienced the same thing. I don't know if you would ever be interested in doing like VHS type subcase.
Yeah, well, I'm in the middle of doing something like that just now. It's just a project for where I'm making like a template, so that, because I mean, when I was a kid, when I wanted a movie out, I'd go to like Blockbuster or Global Video was over here, and you'd go and you'd see all your VHSs, and you go and rent them. So I was kind of wanting to do that for my own Plex library, so I've started doing that, making like a template where I can drag and drop either my own posters or official posters, and kind of make them look like VHSs,
right?
VHS tapes, because I know you do that as well, don't
yes.
you?
Yeah.
You do some stuff like that. Yeah, it's quite a surreal thing when especially if you just started doing it as like a hobby, and then someone goes, oh well, can you do this, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's always cool to see.
I'm asking people's thoughts about the Thor: Love and Thunder movie.
I seen it last night. Yeah, I only just seen it. Yeah,
I haven't seen the movie, but I'm curious about your thoughts on the key art.
Yeah, I know it's been quite mixed. I'm there are some parts I really like. I do like the first ones that came out with Thor and then Jane. They were both kind of standing on a mountain. I like that. That was that illustrated? I can't remember. That looked but they were quite far back, so I suppose it's difficult to tell. I really liked them. I thought they were excellent. The character sheet, the character posters, some of them were great. I liked them. There was some that weren't brilliant, but then again, it's what would I have done in that situation? Right. It's great. It's easy to think, if I had all the resources that these big companies had, I would have done this. But you also don't have the same restrictions that they have, because they'll have very strict instructions of what they can and can't do. Which I don't think a lot of people realise, especially, because I know a lot of people don't like, floating head posters, things like that. But I've had discussions before about that with people. They're so popular because it kind of fills a lot of what these companies have to do. They have to have certain actors have to be in it. They have to have a multiple amount of people. Right. They have to have certain amount of, they have to have certain, they have to take a certain percentage of the poster, and it's in their contract. It's in when the actors make those contracts, when they sign up for the movies. It's in their contracts of, when Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in Spider-Man, he's in his contract. He's going to be on the poster,
right? Yeah.
Regardless of how long he's in the movie or how big a part of the movie is, he's in it, and he takes up a certain amount. So the studio, these companies will get knocked back a lot of the time. They'll say, hey, what about this? And the companies will either go, well, this is good, we'll try and work that in, or they'll just say, nope, this is not in the contract with that actor, you've got to redo it. It's easy to see something and go, well, I don't like that, I wouldn't have done that, I don't know why they did that. But it's, there's reasons behind the scenes why they had to do it that way. And then it's when they've sent that poster in, they'll have sent maybe a dozen posters in.
Yeah.
And maybe that one was on the bottom of their list of, that was Jeff the Intern's poster. And that's the one that the studio liked. And they're the ones that are paying the staff's wages for that. So they'll go, yeah, that's the one we like, that's the one we're going with, regardless of designers think. It's difficult. It's easy to have an opinion, and it's without knowing all the details behind the scenes. So I don't have envy some of the decisions that these big companies will have to make, because it must be very difficult. Luckily, I don't have to deal with things like that. So
it's anytime I critique those posters, I'm always like, I have total grace and respect for the designers who are stuck doing it. It's like, this opinion is not towards you. I get your pain. I get what you're doing there. I get that this has to go through 20 plus people as approval. They know nothing about this, and it's all about the things they have to hit, the checklist. So I get that.
The thing is, well, I think we're kind of in a bubble. I mean, we as designers, we know what to look at and what to nitpick, and that doesn't look right. That character's too far to the right, or why we understand the history of floating head posters, but average Joe who's going to the cinema, they see a poster, they need to be kind of drawn in. So if it's not broke, don't fix it. It works for them. That's why I don't have in a perfect world, there would people, when a new movie came out, they would either hand it off to something like Poster Posse, or they would get a designer in who did something different, and they didn't just go for a standard floating head poster. But it works. Yeah, it works. It's on the outside of the bubble. People see that and they go, oh, that looks cool. Well, I'll make sure I go and watch that. Yeah, it's the same with the bubble sort of. There's the designer bubble, but there's also the fans of the book bubble. And it's getting the people outside that bubble. It's the 90% of the people who are going to go and see this movie that know nothing about it, aren't a fan of the genre. They're the ones that make or break, the box office. So we could love the movie and go and see it, 5 times, but it's like a drop in the ocean compared to the majority of the people. Right. So they need to market it for those people. As long as I think that happy medium, as long as they put out multiple different posters to kind of, so they can take chances with things like teaser posters and character posters, things like that. But the main poster that's going to be out in the street, on billboards, on the bus, on the side of the bus stops, things like that. That's the ones that group of friends who don't know anything about doing. Right. They're going to see it and go, right, well that looks good. Oh, that's got that guy in it. I like him. Oh, that's got her in it. Yeah. Whether or not they're in the movie much. Right. I've noticed that pattern. Yeah. Is with the teaser poster, the character posters. Yeah. The specialty poster, those ones, they take the chances. Those are the better posters. These are the stronger posters. Yeah. And then the main official poster is usually the weakest. Takes it safe. Just the actors, do this instead. It'd be great to get insight into like the behind the scenes, like your fly in the wall. What? Because they'd have run it past focus groups, or they would have gone past different execs, and why did they go? Why did they not go with that? What was the main reason for that? Which we'll probably never know why. The good ones that stand out are the ones who have kept, even though the posters can be completely different, they kind of keep the same sort of, style, or they keep something that kind of, draws them, keeps them all connected in some way. That's the tricky part. Right. And so I like to end the episode with asking your top 3 movie posters. If you don't have 3 in mind, or you just have 1 in mind, that's fine. It's difficult to do of all time. I can say the ones I'm a fan of. I'm a big fan of Tyler Stout. I've got a lot of his posters myself. So I would probably he did a set of Star Wars posters, which I've got. They're fantastic. I love them. So that would probably be in that top 3. I don't like doing top 3s where it's 1, 2, and 3. I like doing like they're all shuffle about depending on the mood. So yeah, that one's probably, and definitely that set of 3 is in there. Classic posters. I'm trying to think. Probably something by Drew Struzan.
That's usually fun.
Yeah, because you can't go wrong with it.
Yeah.
With that, I would probably say one of the posters that I remember seeing when I first seen it was probably the Back to the Future posters that he did. The official posters, that the Back to the Future one, it definitely would probably be that cemented. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. Was those posters?
Right.
So yeah, that definitely would be up there as well. And then the number 3 spot's probably is also tricky. One artist I really like is I'm going to butcher his name, but it's Joshua Budich, isn't it? Yeah. I've got some of his posters as well. I would say maybe picking one. No, that's difficult. This is a tricky one. It's probably one of the first ones like alternative movie posters I ever got was Joshua Budich's Reservoir Dogs. He's the first one because he's recently done a new one, but this is the original one was because I've got that. That's more of a sentimental thing. That's as opposed to But yeah, that was one of the first ever posters that I ever got that introduced me to the world of alternative movie posters.
Well, it was again. Thank you so much for coming on. Giving me time.
Thanks so much for having me. And
well, everyone, that was another episode of Your Local Cineplex, and see you next time.
Tricks are for kids.